What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Comic Book Nerd Nation podcast episode 45. I'm Fox2, and we have Topher looking extra creepy here today.
Are you Fox 2 today or Fox 2
Fox2
every
every
day?
day.
Every day.
Every day I'm Fox2. And we got the whole
Every
effing
day.
Brian.
I'm not Fox 2 today, but I could steal his identity and be Fox 2 today.
You could be Fox2 tomorrow, maybe.
Can we take
Ooh.
turns? Yeah, be Fox 2 tomorrow.
Pirate can't join us because he's in Florida, enjoying
And
the warm weather.
And I'm wildly jealous because it's rainy and cold as shit here.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's pretty miserable, I'm not going to lie. Okay, well, let's jump right in and start talking about what we've been reading. Topher, what you got?
I knew you were gonna start with me. I'm like, oh crap! I gotta remember what I was reading this week. I hope he doesn't call on me for. Oh shit. Let's see here. So I'm still trying to catch up on all the comics I've been buying recently, so that I can actually read them. You know, like when they come out, which would be a really novel idea. So I'm going through like this giant stack I have sitting over here on my chair of comics that I've bought in the last couple of years and trying to catch up. Right now I'm trying to catch up on everything Marvel. So I finally started reading the my X-Men series. So
I feel like it's important, before you go any further, I feel like it's important to really establish just how many comics he's talking about here. Right before we'd started the podcast, he mentioned that he went to the local comic book store and bought 3 long boxes in hopes that might be enough to put some of them away.
maybe.
So
I mean,
we're
bagged
talking
and
hundreds.
boarded, they're probably not going to fit.
Literally
but-
hundreds.
But I'm actually, and the funny thing is, that's not even all the ones I'm reading, because I've got the Marvel Unlimited subscription,
Oh
which
yeah.
I still highly recommend and think is awesome if you like Marvel. I've been reading a ton of stuff. I've been reading even more stuff on there than I've been reading like in paper. So, but anyway, so the big series I've been reading so far this time around are catching up on I started the current all new X-Men comic and the Uncanny X-Men. Basically, the plot here is after the events of Avengers versus X-Men, you've got Cyclops is basically now a renegade. He's kind of hated by humans and mutants alike,
What a dick.
because, well, in AVX, you know, a few of the X-Men become possessed by the Phoenix, and they have it under control for a while, and they try and remake the world, you know, to be a much better place, and they actually do it for a while, but then the Phoenix starts to corrupt them, and they consolidate the power, and they keep trying to take each other out, because basically the Phoenix, Tony Stark being a dick, you know, splits the Phoenix into like 5 different people, and and as they get knocked out by different things, like their share of the power redistributes amongst the other ones, and so by the end you've got Cyclops alone having the full power of the Phoenix, and you know, we've seen how that happens in the past, and so so he basically goes crazy, and the rest of the, you know, heroes of the world all think that he's, you know, too powerful, and he thinks that the world should be in his image, and they all fight, and eventually he gets knocked the fuck out, but not before you know, taking Professor Xavier out with him. So so now Cyclops is you know, he's hated by mutants for you know, for giving them all a bad name, and for killing Professor X, and you know, he's hated by humans because, you know, it's like, what the hell, like, mutants are back to being a menace again, and he's the most, you know, he's the most notorious, famous one now. So so in Uncanny X-Men, it's Cyclops and Magneto and Emma Frost and Magic. You know, after after the events of AVX, like Cyclops actually gets locked up in prison, and Magneto busts him out, and so now they're basically like revolutionaries, like on the run, like kind of teleporting in and like grabbing new mutants, and because after after Cyclops goes down, the Phoenix Force is actually released into the world, and new mutants are finally being born because none had been in a long time, ever since M-Day and Scarlet Witch kind of fucked that up for everybody. So, so Cyclops is going around, basically acting as like the almost terrorist, like not terrorist because he's not. He's trying to help people. He's trying to do the right thing, but he's doing it in a very revolutionary way. And so it's kind of neat because it's them struggling with that. And then all new X-Men, Beast is kind of like super pissed off at Cyclops, and he says, well, Iceman makes the comment, off the cuff, just saying something about like, man, do you remember how it used to be in the early days when when it was just the five of us and we were teenagers and everything seemed so idealistic and we were going to change the world and he's like, and how far has Cyclops fallen at this point? He's like, I really want to know what Scott would say if he could see, that younger version of himself today. And Beast goes, that's not a bad idea. And so Beast actually goes back in time and grabs the five, original teenage X-Men out of the past and brings them to the future. It's supposed to be like a quick temporary thing, like let's bring them here, let's find Cyclops, confront him with with this, and hope he snaps out of this revolutionary funk he's in, and then we'll send the kids back, and Professor X can mind wipe them in the past, and they'll forget they saw everything, and then the timeline will continue on as it always should have, but unfortunately that doesn't go right, and the the teens end up here in the present, and they learn all this stuff about like what's happened in the meantime, and they just get really disillusioned, and Jean Grey especially finding out, wait, I'm dead, and it's crazy. They decide to stick around and decide that they can't go back, knowing that the world ends up like this until they try and fix the problem in the world today, and they feel like that's on them, and so they end up sticking around. And it's really good. Bendis is writing both of them, and they work together really well. And I've been enjoying the hell out of them, especially all new X-Men, because like I was telling you guys a while back, I went back to the 60s and started reading everything from X-Men #1, and I was all the way up through about 1987 before deciding, what, I'm going to catch up on the new stuff, and then I'll go back and finish reading everything in the middle. But it's really neat because he brings in these characters basically as they were back in the 60s. And so, they're showing scenes, when Beast shows up, they're in the middle of a panel from a comic, and I like instantly recognized it. I'm like, oh my god, that was the one where, where Beast almost quits and runs out and gives up, and it's been really cool for me to see those characters that, because I'm a huge X-Men fan, but I just read all the old X-Men, like a year ago, and so a lot of that stuff is already fresh in my mind. So when he brings these characters in, like, I know what they've done, I know what they've been through, and I really get those characters because I've read all them recently as well. And so it's been really fun for me as an X-Men fan, reading a bunch of different stuff over their history to see the interaction of the characters. It was funny, I busted up laughing at one point because Jean Grey from the past is talking to present day Beast, and she asks him at one point, she goes, "How did I die?" And I was just like, which time? And then I flip the page, and Beast just looks at her and very flatly asks, "Which time?" And she goes, and the look on her face is just like terrified, and I busted up laughing. I mean, it's not funny, but I had the exact same reaction. So it's kind of funny that they're also sort of making jabs at the long and convoluted history of some of these characters too, and
right.
It's been really fun for me. So I've really been enjoying that series. I'll just tell you about one other one that I've been reading. I started reading some of the Avengers stuff. to start off, like when Marvel Now started, and they renumbered, relaunched everything, and new artists, new writers, started numbering back over at ones, and I gotta say, I read the first issue of Avengers, like the core title, and meh,
Yeah.
it was confusing. The writing was a little strange. They were referring to random characters. I guess they're going to be the villains or something, but they're like, I don't know. It's weird, and I every single panel, I'm like, what is going on? Like, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. I wasn't a fan, so I'm going to keep reading it and see if it gets any better. But I didn't care for that one. New Avengers, though, which was one I thought I was going to skip because I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like, there's too many Avengers titles. That one, actually, I read the first 6 or 7 issues, and that one's actually been really good. When Bendis created the New Avengers book back in like '03 or '04, it was after the Avengers broke up, the Avengers Disassembled event, and that was when Wolverine and Spider-Man first become Avengers, and they joined this new team. In that book, he created this thing called the Illuminati, and it's basically like a secret council of some of the most powerful figures in the Marvel Universe, who Bendis writes had been getting together for a long time in secret and meeting and basically discussing how they were going to not necessarily run the world, but make sure that things, as far as all these giant cosmic events and giant superhero versus supervillain battles, make sure that there was some sort of guiding hand in the background through all of it. And
Yeah,
so
they were basically wanted to control the bigger picture of everything.
and they're the ones who decide. Fox, they're the ones who decide that Bruce Banner needs to be sent off into space when the Planet Hulk storyline.
Oh, okay.
So if you read Planet Hulk, you probably saw the Illuminati in the beginning because it was that it was them deciding that the Hulk was too dangerous to be left on Earth.
I see.
So you've got Professor X and Captain America, Iron Man, Namor, Black Bolt of the Inhumans, Doctor Strange, and I'm probably forgetting somebody. Well, at the time when Bendis created it, it was Professor X.
Yeah.
And they're also the ones in possession of the Infinity Gems at the time. They split them up amongst them. So New Avengers, the current run, starts out with Black Panther reconvening the Illuminati. Even though he wasn't a part of it originally, he was asked to be, and he said, no, this is ridiculous, this is bad, stop this, you guys you're getting into something you don't want to, and blah blah blah. But Black Panther ends up witnessing this event where he sees something strange, and there's like a kind of like
in your neighborhood.
As soon as I said it,
Ghostbusters.
Illuminati. As soon as I said it, I'm like, damn it, somebody's gonna jump on that. And so there's kind of like this weird portal wall, like just this rip in space or something, and he steps through it, and he sees kind of like an alternate reddish Earth where there's this woman and some guys using some device to blow up another planet that looks like it's hanging, looks like it's on a collision course with Earth, and so she blows it up, and he's like, oh my god, what the hell is happening? And so he captures her and reconvenes the Illuminati to decide what the hell's going on with all this stuff, and decides that it's too important to it's too big and would cause too great a panic, and that we can't tell the general public that this is happening. And so they get together, and of course Professor X is dead now. So they're like, well, we need to find his Infinity Gem, so that we can reconstruct the Infinity Gauntlet to try and have some power against this. And so they bring Beast in because Professor X ends up leaving the gem the mind gem to Beast, but so I think that there's supposed to be an event coming up here next year sometime called Time Runs
Time
Out
runs out.
that Marvel's been touting for a while, and it looks like it's basically a follow up to this storyline. The gist is there's these things called incursions where something bad happened somewhere in the multiverse, and it's causing all these parallel universes to collapse into each other, and the incursion point happens to be somewhere on. It happens to generally be the planet Earth. So
No.
right. So what happens is, as these multiverses all collapse on top of each other, you have basically two different timelines that collapse, and the planets in some weird, like, hyperspace sort of sense actually collapse onto each other, and the planets end up both getting destroyed, which then destroys that entire universe in that timeline. So this woman that they capture has been going around trying to destroy the Earth, destroy one of the Earths that's about to collide, thereby preserving the rest of the universe. Because if that incursion doesn't happen and the two Earths don't collide, then it doesn't destroy both timelines in the multiverse. So so they decide, well, we need to figure out what happens because these incursions are happening at a greater and greater rate, and we're going to have another one here, and we're going to need to know what to do. And they all decide basically that we have to be prepared to do whatever it takes, whatever's necessary, and if that means blowing up this other planet to save ours, then we're going to do it. And of course, Captain America has a shit fit about it, and he's like, "No, we cannot resort to that." And he's like, "I absolutely will not allow." And he goes on this giant speech, and everybody just kind of looks at him. And Tony's like, "Damn it, Steve! Why do you always make me have to do this?" And Doctor Strange mind wipes him, and they send him off. So, so the first story arc deals with like these incursions, and then they kind of, they still don't really have a handle on it, but they deal with the few that they have, and then they build like this early detection system, and at some point it stops going off, and they're like, well, there aren't any happening for now, so we'll have to figure something out in the meantime and just be ready for when the next one happens. So my guess is this Time Runs Out event that's coming up next year is going to be the next, a continuation of that, and this next major incursion, and something big is going to happen with it. So I'm actually kind of enjoying that book and eager to see what happens with that event.
Now, have you been picking up the tie-ins that been coming out the past couple of weeks for the Time Runs Out?
No, because I'm still like catching up. I'm current as of last June on all my Marvel stuff.
They
so,
started. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. No, I'm just saying I'm not caught up. So
they started trickling out because Time Runs Out happens next April. The actual full story, the full story.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been trickling out in like New Avengers, and I forgot what the first one came out in. It might have been Avengers. Like they started trickling out some of the story, and it is like incursions started happening again. Not to ruin that much, but a couple of incursions started happening again. Namor left the Illuminati, and he has his own cabal, and they started dealing with it there in their own way. So that's probably what it is. And Doug, have you been reading Future's End?
No.
Well,
I'm not surprised Namor leaves, because Namor and Black Panther have been each other's throat in this book, because Namor was one of the mutants.
The Phoenix Five.
Possessed, one of the Phoenix Five, one of the mutants with the Phoenix Force during AVX. And at one point, Emma Frost like talks him into like going on this rampage, and he ends up going to Wakanda and causing this giant flood and just lays waste to the place. And so Black Panther is like, last time you were here, you killed like thousands of people in my country. I'm going to end you.
Wait, what does Brian? What does what does Future's End being a DC title have to do with Time Runs Out being a Marvel
It
title?
doesn't, but it's another one of those where they're flashing
but
forward and you're going to catch up to the events as they happen in the
Oh,
future.
same
It's
concept.
almost like with the
jumping ahead
alternate
in
Earths
time.
and the multiverse, it's both kind of like almost like their own, kind of like the same subject, but their own thing.
Okay.
Like Future's End has to do with, Earth 2 coming to Earth 1 and, all these,
Right.
it's going to end up doing with the multiverse. Marvel's is like the same thing with
I
these
gotcha.
Earths penetrating one Earth to
I
destroy, and they explode. I don't know. It's really good what's been coming out. So I'm looking forward to the big event next year.
Nice. Well, I'm going to jump in and talk about what I read. I finally got a chance to make it to the comic book shop. I caught up on a bunch of stuff. I read the one one shot. Is that what they're called? Yeah, one shot.
Yeah.
I read the one shot for Wonder Woman. I didn't like it at all.
Is that the Future's End one shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't care for it.
I've got the Batman and the Batgirl ones, but I haven't read them yet.
The Batgirl one's really good. I have the Batman. I haven't read it yet. Let's see. I also read. I got just about caught up on Batman Eternal. I still absolutely loving it.
I agree.
It's a huge storyline now that they've brought in the people that they've brought in. Gosh, what else? Oh, the big thing. Excuse me. The big thing that I really wanted to talk about that I've read that I am really excited about is the new crossover event for the Green Lantern universe.
God's Head.
Has started. God's Head. And I read the Act 1, Part 1, and Part 2, which Part 2 was the Green Lantern title, and then I think Part 3 is the Green Lantern Corps. Yeah. It's going to be fucking awesome.
I agree.
This crossover event, I think it's going to be massive. I think it's going to be a ton of books that play into it. It's pretty evident we're going to see Darkseid. Like, the whole thing is about a battle between the New Gods and Darkseid, and kind of how the Lantern Corps, multiple, are dealing with that. And they're already talking about Kyle Rayner not being dead. And so we're going to probably see the White Lantern pretty soon. It's like all of the best parts of the of the Lantern universe are all going to be coming together, and we're going to see some kind of huge climactic event with Darkseid
All the lanterns
being like the main villain.
Well,
Kyle Rayner's a White Lantern.
yeah.
Yeah, he's the only white. He's the White Lantern. He's the only.
Oh, so the green one ends up becoming the white one. Oh, I saw this. What was it called? Power Rangers.
No.
Oh, wait, you're right.
Oh,
you're
man.
absolutely right.
Oh, wouldn't that be
Wow.
wouldn't that be fucked up if, like, in 20 years from now you went over it, like, looked at the Green Lantern, like, storyline arcs
Holy
and, like,
shit.
it directly went by, like, what the Power Rangers did?
He's absolutely right, though.
Oh, man.
Kyle became the White Lantern.
Oh,
It's
that's-
like Tommy becoming
the White
fucking
the
White Lantern.
White Ranger.
But
Oh,
Kyle
that's
Rayner
great.
does not have Saba.
Oh, well.
Was
He's not
Saba, wait a minute, was
really
Saba
cool.
the, like, talking knife or whatever?
Yeah, it was the talking tiger dagger.
The tiger dagger? And before that, didn't he, like, have a flute dagger?
He had the flute that called
They
the
had
Dragon
the
Sword.
dumbest
dragon.
weapons. Like, why a flute dagger and a fucking talking a dagger with a talking lion head handle?
So if someone offered you a flute dagger that summoned a giant mechanized dragon, you'd be like, "No, that's stupid."
No, I'd totally take it.
It's dumb in
Exactly.
concept, but what it does is fucking
Yeah,
like that shoots missiles out of its fingers and
yeah. It's oh my gosh, I can't. You just blew my mind with the whole. But regardless,
Totally derailed that one.
Yeah, big time. But the Green Lantern, the God's Head or Godhead, crossover event is going to be awesome. It already basically the new gods have already collected one of each of the rings of each color, except for black and white.
They're not really.
So
They need the since that was the only thing I read, I'll talk about it too. But they need what they figured out in the comic is they needed.
they needed
I don't
the white.
remember.
They got all the other colors, and they put them together into like a weapon, like a staff that would weaponize all of the spectrums, all of the different colors of the spectrum of light, in order to create the white light that they thought was like the life. What do they call it?
The life equation.
Yeah, and it obviously it didn't work like what they were wanting, and then that's when they figured out that they needed the white ring, not
Yeah, they found out all the power of the rings, or each ring together, breached the source wall, which leads them to the life equation, which will help them defeat Darkseid. But what they didn't know until the end was it wasn't all the rings together, it was the white ring, which is basically
all of the
powers together, but in a different way to create a white light.
Yeah. So it's I'm looking forward to it, but I think it's going to be really, really difficult to
It's
make
going to
sure
be
that you're purchasing all of the books, because it's going to bounce back and forth so fast.
And I'm excited to see that when everybody finds out Kyle Rayner is alive, because no one after I don't remember, I didn't read the last event that happened with the lanterns,
but Wrath of the First Lantern, wasn't it?
No, there was a couple after that.
I can't remember.
That was the last Jeff Johns.
That's right. Yeah, that was the last
event.
Jeff Johns.
There was one with a new villain called Relic, and I think there was one after that called Lights Out. I think the one with Relic, Kyle pushed him into the source wall, which everybody thought Kyle was dead, but obviously since
now we know he's not.
Since Green Lantern, New Guardians, is still ongoing. He wasn't really dead; just everybody thought he was dead. And we saw him have his own adventures away from everybody. That now that he has to get into the mix, because the new gods are going after him to get his ring, that he's going to show face again.
Right.
I like it. It's going to be the first time you're going to probably see all the Lantern Corps together since Blackest Night.
What the hell are you doing over there, Topher?
I saw him playing with his pussy before.
Oh. That's... Alright then. That's totally interesting. Now
You're muted.
Now he can't figure out how to unmute himself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You had yourself
Okay,
unmuted when you wanted to be muted. When you were digging through a box of something.
I was totally trying to find my lantern rings, and I can't find the white one. All I could find were my orange,
I have
my
the full set
pink, and my
my
red.
display.
I have duplicates lying around.
I thought you were missing the blue because I've still got it in my car for you.
Oh, Pirate picked one up for me also.
Oh, well, sweet. Then I've got a blue.
Yeah, and I have an extra violet that you can have if you want, if you need.
I think I've got them all. I just got to find where
You guys
could
could love each other with the Star Sapphire ring.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, let's move on to news. First thing that we can talk about, Brian, you brought up some Fantastic Four news.
Yeah, it was reported a few weeks ago that we all know that this.
Oh,
This
yeah.
this frozen head of Brian's.
There we go.
What?
You were
Yeah.
completely frozen. It was pretty interesting.
It was a good look for you. You were all like,
like you just snapped your neck or something.
But we all know that
he was doing his impression of the Fantastic Four opening box office.
No, that would be
weekend.
there.
Oh.
If I had, I'm trying to find some other, but we know the controversy around the casting, Johnny Storm, and and stuff like that. Well, it's now being said that Sue Storm is going to be the one that is adopted instead of Johnny Storm.
So the Storm family is actually a black family that adopted a white person.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
is there any one aspect of the Fantastic Four, like comic books, like that they didn't change for this movie?
They're going to be, the way they get their powers supposedly is that they're going to open a rift to another world, and somehow that's going to affect them, and they're going to get their powers.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that. I mean, it's obviously that other world's going to be the negative zone, and
right. Well, I mean, I'm okay with the Sue Storm being adopted thing, like
abducted.
I just don't like the fact
adopted.
That I'm not even a big Fantastic Four fan. I just don't like the fact that they're just taking something that's been established, has a storyline, has an origin, has history, has characters already developed. They're using the name that is closely associated with characters that are already established, and they're just completely shitting on all of it.
Where do we hear that before? DC.
Are they really though? I mean,
yes, they are.
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
Okay,
basically. I mean, they changed the origin. They changed the race of one of the characters. They're changing which one of them was adopted now. I mean, the only thing that they haven't changed is the names.
Yeah, well, how would you feel, Chris, if the X-Men movie made Wolverine Mexican?
You know.
Yeah, you want to say it.
It would be different, but you know, if it was a good actor who was playing the character, I don't care. You know, as long as they told it with, in a way that made sense.
If they changed it to where Wolverine wasn't created in the manner that he was, and instead was actually an alien from outer space and beamed here or something. Like, I mean,
they've changed lots of things. The movies don't follow the plots of the comics exactly. Like,
not exactly.
Even the other Marvel
strokes.
Even the other Marvel movies that you guys love, like, they don't follow the comics. Those aren't the origin stories. Like, a lot of them use more of the Ultimate Universe than they do of the original Marvel Universe.
I agree with that.
So why can't we tell an alternate origin story?
But they don't change,
similar,
they don't change the core of the characters, though. Like, Tony Stark's still like a fucking kind of a dick, and
I guess my point is, like, the things that you identify with as being that character, they typically leave alone. They might write a little different story. They might put a
different
little twist
origin
here and there.
And if you look at comic book movie franchises and you look at comic book sales, the oldest, longest running comic with the shittiest modern day following is the Fantastic Four. Because everyone's tired of the old.
Yeah, they don't have many good stories.
So as far as I'm concerned, giving it a fresh new take and a slightly, like keeping some of the concepts from who they are. The core of the Fantastic Four book was always that they're a family. Like they're a family. They do things as a family. They decide, make decisions as a family. Like that's kind of their core thing. And you've got villains. You've got different places that are associated with them. If the origin story isn't quite exactly the same, I don't care. I just want them to be able to do something that appeals to fans today. And if that means not using a completely whitewashed cast, I'm great with that. If that means changing the, how they come together, but making sure that they stay a family throughout the process, I think they're keeping the core of that book. And, like, that doesn't mean the movie's not going to suck. I'm sure Fox can find other ways to ruin it. But
yeah, Fox.
Take that. But nothing they've said so far has caused me to go, oh, this is gonna suck. It's gonna be terrible. Like, hey, they're ruining it. Like, I'm like, okay, they're making some changes to try and keep it fresh and hopefully finally make a Fantastic Four property that people today actually enjoy.
I just think that it would make more sense in my opinion, my personal opinion. I think it would make more sense if you wanted to make changes to make the Fantastic Four more relevant and more appealing to today's audience, it makes a hell of a lot more sense to do so in the comic books first, and then make a film about those characters, because ultimately this is a movie about a comic book. It's a movie about a comic book title, about a group of people that are rooted in the comic book genre. So by taking something and just saying, you know what, we're going to forget the last 75 years of everything, basically, and do this our way, I find it slightly disrespectful almost to the pre-standing like literature, the stories and everything like that happened previously.
What is it that they changed that you're most upset about? Like what do you feel doesn't capture the original
Galactus
the
Cloud?
original Fantastic Four? Okay, yeah, no, that was shit. That we're not talking about that movie. That was terrible.
I mean,
Metal.
I don't like that they're changing the origin for one. I don't really care for that. I don't think, unless they do a whole reboot in the comics and this is the new origin, I don't think that the cinema version should really just take and completely twist the.
Do you think that they should use?
And then
younger
on top of that, they're changing the histories of. They're changing the histories of the characters.
That's a little. I agree with that a little bit. I mean, you know, the whole thing with the Fantastic Four and the Baxter Building wasn't it because Sue and Johnny's father was like a big scientist too, and that's where they got most of their brains from? Are they going to make Sue Storm a dumb blonde and stuff like that?
Yeah, I hope they don't. I hope they don't alter the characters' personalities much. But you know, I want to see the characters be who they are. But you know, whether
I guess that's my point. Is like that's ultimately what I don't want them to do. Like you said, I don't want them to change characters, you know, personality-wise. But if they can change all these other aspects of the characters, as far as the history of the character, the race of the character, the origin of the character, where do you stop? Like, where do you draw the line on the next film or the next film after that? There's so many comic book films coming out with different titles. If they go and do this and by some miraculous event, it actually happens to do halfway decent at the box office, that means they could go in and, oh, well, maybe that's what they liked about it. Maybe that's what the audience liked about it. So we'll go in and we'll fucking, now on the X-Men, you know what? Professor Xavier can walk. He's never been a cripple. And you know what? Wolverine, he's an alien now. And Cyclops and Jean Grey, they're actually brother and sister. They're not love interests at all. You see where I'm going? It's like, where...
That's weird.
Once you veer down that path, you're opening a set of doors that allow for, yes, you can call it creative license, but you can also call it shitting on established characters.
Well,
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think any of the changes that I've heard, I mean, unless you've heard something that I haven't, nothing I've heard about Fantastic Four is changes anywhere near that drastic.
No, I'm saying this is the first step to getting to that. That's all I'm saying.
Johnny and Stu are still brothers. Or I mean, brother and sister. You know,
brothers?
like
shit! You have a penis now.
Ben Grimm's still the friend. You know, like Reed is still the love interest of Stu. I mean, like, as long as they don't change who they are as characters, I don't think it matters. You know, like what race they are, whether one was adopted. You know,
I'm just saying this is the first step that could lead to that eventuality.
Okay, and if that eventuality happens, then great, let's get pissed about it. But I don't see any reason to worry right now. Like, they haven't changed anything appreciable as far as I'm concerned. Like, you still have the same characters. Something different is going to happen to them in the movie. Like, yes, the plot is not going to follow the plot from the comics. But guess what? Neither did any of the X-Men movies. None of that shit happened in the comics. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy, if you look at Gamora and Drax, they are nothing like what the characters are actually like in the comics. So here you have another property, a movie that you love, and the characters their personalities are like Drax is so unlike how he is in the comics.
Yeah,
that
he's
it's
got a
not even
point.
the same character. So it's like, why does that make it bad for Fantastic Four, but it was fine in Guardians of the Galaxy? And I understand you haven't read a whole lot of Guardians.
I haven't.
You don't necessarily know.
Admittedly so.
But there's nothing saying that you can't keep a lot of things about a character the same and still change enough to make it something different. And Professor X, if he can walk, sure. If they've got a reason for it, I'm okay with that. They make Cyclops and Jean Grey brother and sister. That's a little bit more drastic, but I don't think they've talked about doing anything like that. As far as
I'm completely just making that.
And if you
all
want
up
in the Marvel Ultimate Universe, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are actually incestuous lovers.
Yeah,
So,
I forgot about that.
So, I mean, nothing you're saying is really having any shock value because it's comics. There are alternate timelines. There are other versions of these characters that have done exactly what it is you're saying. And if they choose to make a movie about one of those, awesome. I'm okay with that.
Let's get down to the real picture here. The real picture is Fox sucks. And not Fox P-H-O-X-X, Fox F-O-X.
I'm not sure you had to clarify.
I agree, but Fox made X-Men Days of Future Past, correct?
Well, besides
And that
Days
was
of Future
fucking
Past and
great
First
movie.
Class, let's go down the line of things they
Well,
fucked
yes,
up.
they've done far more shit than they
The
have
first
good
two
stuff.
Fantastic Four movies, the two Wolverine movies, the three X-Men movies, they canceled Firefly way too early. I'm not too fond of...
Did you just say they canceled?
They
Yeah,
canceled. They
I'm
canceled
pretty sure
Firefly
you said that they
way-
canceled Firefly. I don't know
Well,
how
cancer-
you give a
cancer-
fucking television
cancer-
series cancer, but apparently Fox
Cancer
can do
sucks. Well, Cancer sucks just as much as them canceling Firefly, but and then I'm not too fond of Gotham either. So they don't have a good streak to me.
I'm not. Their track record is definitely not good, and they have been shown that they can. They can pretty much ruin anything, but nothing they've said so far about. I mean, the movie could still be terrible. I don't know, but nothing they've said so far really has me worried. Like,
Okay,
it
so
just doesn't.
while we're on the topic of ruining things, so this is the newest bit of news in the Marvel universe that I find super relevant as far as cinematically. Robert Downey Jr. is now saying that he will do an Iron Man 4, but only if Mel Gibson can direct the film.
Nazi Iron Man.
What do you guys think about this? Let's go down that path.
I think this will give him a certain amount of creative freedom.
Well done, sir. Well done. I think this is terrible. I think Mel Gibson is a fucking lunatic. I don't think there is any relevant good reason as to why he should just randomly be brought in to do Iron Man 4. I mean, I wasn't particularly a big fan of Iron Man 3. It wasn't terrible, but it certainly wasn't anywhere near my favorite Marvel movie. But I don't know, like, what has Mel Gibson directed that you could even compare genre-wise to
genre, nothing.
Iron Man? Nothing.
But in good movies, Braveheart.
Yeah, how long ago was that?
Passion of the
95.
Christ.
So
Yeah.
well before he fucking snapped and went insane.
So is the Mandarin gonna show his real face in this movie, and he's gonna
Jesus.
It's gonna be Judas.
he's gonna be crucified fucking Iron Man?
Oh my god! Tony Stark will be playing the part of Jesus, and
He's gonna
Mandarin
carry
will
an
be
iron
Judas,
cross.
and
He could probably direct the X-Men Origins Magneto movie.
I just don't.
No, he won't, because Magneto will die. He doesn't like fucking Jewish people.
Oh my gosh, this is. I'm so like surprised and taken back about. I literally just saw this right before we started recording the podcast, and I'm so shocked that this is what's happening, that I don't even know what to say about it. Like, so what does this mean? Like, if, like, basically Robert Downey Jr. is holding Iron Man hostage for Mel Gibson's, like, to be the director?
I don't even think
like,
he's contracted. I don't know if he's contracted for 4 yet.
Right, but I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to bring somebody else in at this point to play Iron Man? Like, how the fuck are you going to manage that? Like, he's going to be 7 movies into that character. Like, it's not going to be that they're going to have to fucking. I don't even know. Like, would you have to reboot the whole series at this point?
Well, I mean, by the time Iron Man 4 might come around, he might be fucking 60, so you might have to recast him because you don't want Iron Man with an Iron Walker with repulsors on it.
I mean,
but I understand. This is what he's doing, probably. Like I said before we started the recording, you know, we know Marvel jump-started Robert Downey Jr.'s career again because he was fucking out of control. He was in and out of jail. He was an alcohol. He was Tony Stark plus drugs. Plus cocaine. But so he was, I guess, since
he was the demon in a bottle version of Tony Stark
with cocaine.
Right.
But
it's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
He was the only reason we still know about Robert Downey Jr. before Iron Man, because he was all over the news and TV because he was doing something fucked up. So what he's probably doing, he's and Marvel jumpstarted his career. What he's probably doing is he probably wants to help Mel Gibson out. And he feels like this will help him out by getting into Marvel and Disney, so he can probably no longer be crazy Mel Gibson, because he'll probably be under contract not to be crazy Mel Gibson. So and if he directs Iron Man and if Iron Man's awesome, he'll probably be relevant again.
So I was looking for some kind of like connection between them on Wikipedia, and I found something that was saying that. Mel Gibson was supposed to be doing a stage production of Hamlet in like back in 2001, and Robert Downey Jr. was supposed to star in it. It was supposed to be this big thing, and but Downey had a drug relapse, and it kind of killed the project, and it never ended up happening. So I mean, maybe this is like, you know, hey, sorry about that whole Hamlet thing.
My bad with the Hamlet deal.
Gibson's like, hey, you motherfucker. Remember that time in 2001?
Well,
you know, Hamlet. You owe me, so tell them to let me direct fucking Iron Man.
Yeah.
Or I'll go all fucking crazy on you.
In other news, the Batman creative team for DC, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo,
Capupu?
Yeah, have gone on record as telling DC that they want the price of Batman, the comic book Batman, to be lowered from $4.99 to $3.99. I guess it just went up to $4.99 per issue due to the popularity, I'm assuming, of the book, because they've been having so much success with their story arcs. You know, you got 0 Year, Death of the Family, Court of Owls.
Endgame starts soon.
Endgame starts soon, and they're jacking their prices up for it. And I guess, you know, the writer and the artist are not a fan of this, as is the same for many comic book fans. You know, just like we talked about with the new Green Lantern, Godhead, these story arcs are now becoming so massive and so all-encompassing that you're looking at, you know, one story arc, if it's a big one, might have 20 titles in it. And you start charging $5 per book.
That's a lot of money.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to be, at that point, it's hard to be a comic book fan that can stay up to date with what's going on. They're basically, by raising the price continuously, I feel like what they're doing is they're forcing comic book fans to narrow their favorite superheroes and really just pick and choose one, maybe two superheroes that they want to follow, because in order to follow that person and really have a good understanding of what's going on, you got to buy, 3 books a week.
And it's hard to do that these days because you've got
there's so much shit.
You've got team books, and Like it seems like everything crosses over into something else, and if you're just reading the books for a couple individual characters, you're missing the big picture. You don't actually know what's going on in the world as a whole. And DC and Marvel have both done a great job of building a world where you read one book and you're seeing part of it. You get a glimpse into that world, and a lot of times they're good, solid, self-contained stories, but there are references and tie-ins to things, knowing that there's a bigger picture, there's something else going on, and so I think they've done a great job of wanting you to explore more and know the whole world, but man, is it costly to do so.
I remember back in a time when DC, this was around Brightest Day, when Brightest Day was going on. The year passes me because fucking that was a while ago, in the old 52.
Like
when
2008, 2009.
Yeah, when DC rolled out, on every cover was drawing the line at $1.99, and all their books were $1.99 until the new 52 started, and it went back up to like $3.99 or $2.99. So I agree. I mean, you as a comic book fan, you don't want to miss everything. You have you have a crossover event. You want to get some of the tie-ins because they might have important subject matter in them. But it just costs so much a week. There might be five books to do with that crossover that week, and you don't want to miss them. But then you're shelling out like $50
yeah,
with the crossover event, and
that's just
the other books that don't have to do with the crossover.
I read when I read AVX. Granted, I did it with Marvel Unlimited, so I was going back and reading them all digitally with a subscription service. But in total, if you count the little prelude and the little follow-up miniseries and all the tie-in issues, it was in total 96 issues of things that all, and I read every last one of them, and I liked them, and a lot of the tie-ins were good. They were done really well, and some of them actually made me want to keep reading the rest of that series, after the event was over.
The question is, would you pay $5 per issue?
Yeah, but if I was paying $3.99, $4.99 for all those, like when I was collecting them, goddamn, I mean that event lasted a while. I mean that was like a 6-month event, so. Yeah. With lead up and everything, you're talking 6 to 7 months. But still, I mean, just for that one event, those were probably books I was, at least some of the core titles would have been buying anyway. But I mean, that's 95 issues over 6 months. That's a lot.
When I read that, I was picking up AVX, the main title line. I was picking up the New Avengers AVX, Avengers AVX, the X-Men AVX tie-ins, and then I think you had a couple of offshoots here and there.
You had Avengers Academy. The Avengers Academy tie-ins were actually really good.
Yeah.
And then there were like 3 Avengers books, 3 X-Men books, a couple side ones, and you had AVX Versus, which was like the blow by blow battle series, and it's. That would have been brutal.
I mean, ultimately, I think we're all in agreement that there really needs to be some kind of
line drawn.
Yeah, I don't want to say like industry-wide standard control or something like that, but at some point there's going to be a negative effect of raising the price per book because you're going to lower interest in certain characters. Because if a book costs $1.99, I might buy it if it's not something I'm familiar with. However, if that same book is costing $3.99 or $4.99, I'm probably not going to take a chance on reading that book. So I might just buy less books in total and end up spending less money because I'm not willing to give this other story a chance for the entry price of $5 an issue versus $1.99 an issue.
It's crazy.
Which is why most of those independent comics are only $1.99 an issue, But like something like Batman is, I mean, it's already wildly popular. It's already, it's established. And so, like, I understand, like, I think the demand is still going to be there at that price. I just think it's shitty to say, hey, this is so popular, we're going to squeeze an extra dollar out of everybody.
Right.
I mean, and it's not just a dollar. I mean, when you look at it, that's a 25% price increase.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
That's true. I haven't been getting the Batman series. I've been doing the Batman Eternal, and those books are, what are they, $2.99? I think they're
Yeah.
I think they're $2.99 each, which is one of DC's less expensive books.
And it's still painful because it comes out every week.
And it comes out every
we're-
week. But
We're
I'm
on what,
thinking
issue like 35 or something of that by now?
like 26.
20.
I think
Plus,
26.
I've been on top. I read the Batman Eternal. Plus, on top of that, I read Future's End, which is another weekly, and it's
Yeah.
the same price. And
Yeah.
So that's
I mean,
that's already $200 invested on those two titles.
Yeah.
Right, and my
few months
point
ago.
is like, what is in place now to stop them from, I'm a fan, I'm a follower of Batman Eternal. I read it religiously, week in, week out for 26 weeks. We know it's going to be a 52-week storyline, and we're about halfway through it right now. What
Yeah,
if they
what's to keep
jack
them
this
from
to $4.99?
Jacking that one up to $4.99.
That's what
now.
I'm saying. Like, okay, so now I'm already $100 invested into this thing, or whatever, to see the end of the story. Now I'm gonna have to pay double that just to get the second half. Like, this is kind of.
How much of that increase do you think is going to the creative team? Do you think
I
that's
think
all,
probably none.
you think that's all in Marvel's pockets?
DC, you mean?
I mean, I don't. Or, excuse me. Right.
way to
Is that all
fuck
in
it up,
DC?
Chris.
Is that all in DC's pocket, or
I think
are
it's
they-
absolutely all in DC's pocket due to the fact that both
They probably
Snyder
make-
and Capullo are lobbying to get the price reduced.
Well, I mean, they might do that anyway. If as a matter of principle.
Yeah, they
I mean,
probably make good enough money that
It's probably
I
a
could-
that wouldn't
contract.
affect them.
It's probably
I
a
can see him
contract
being
based
good guy
thing.
Scott Snyder and saying, hey, yeah, this would put more money in my pocket, but it's not right to do to the fans. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder how they get paid. If it's like if they get a commission based off of how many are sold, or whether they get paid a flat fee for the work. I mean, it seemed to me from talks we've had with some of the creators that most of the time you get paid a flat fee for
yeah, the contract fee.
Yeah, contract fee X amount per page,
right,
I think,
which
and then
means
you might hit
which
a
means-
bonus if it sells a certain amount or something to that effect.
Which means if they jack up the price, that's going straight to DC. They don't see any of that, and yeah.
I mean, either way, I don't like it because I'm not independently wealthy and I can't afford to go and spend $50 a week on comic books.
By the way, that Thanos, not to change the subject, that Thanos drawing back there is kind of badass.
Yeah, that's the one
I like
that
that.
I had George Perez do.
George Perez did, yeah. But that's the first time I've actually seen it. You told me
Oh, okay.
about it, but that's pretty sick. I like that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
came out
I
really
kind of
good.
wish I'd gotten that one. I got Cap.
Oh,
It's
okay.
pretty cool.
Captain
I like-
America,
I like
nice. All right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see if DC yields to the creative team of Batman and lowers their prices back down. I mean, I for one sincerely hope that this doesn't become a big trend, especially going into the Godhead story arc with Green Lantern. I know the very first issue of Godhead was $4.99, but the Green Lantern title was only $3.99. So I don't know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. Oh, here we go. Here's Captain America by George Perez. Nice. That's looking good, man.
Yeah, I like that one. That was pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Well, that about wraps it up for this week of Comic Book Nerd Nation. I'm Fox 2. We got Topher.
I'll be Topher tomorrow as well, if anyone is interested.
Fantastic. And the whole F and Brian.
I'm going to take a break from being the whole F and Brian tomorrow. Be a caterpillar.
There you
Ooh.
go. Nice. All right. We'll see you guys later.